Hi, good day. We will do a little discussions on basics of programming. We will start off with a nice poem from Rabindranath Tagore's Nobel Prize winning poem called Gitanjali, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the lesson. We will look into the concepts of programming. Before we look into the concepts of programming, we need to understand as to why we need programming. As we can see, programming permeates into each and every area in modern age, such as mobile mobile computing, internet. Internet involves e-commerce, photo sharing, social media, chatting, so on and so forth. So the whole of internet is, most of it is programming. Now, programming is also the key aspect in industries and in process control. By process control, we mean controlling a process which controls an instrument, such as a satellite or a blast furnace, so on and so forth. We use programming, a lot of programming in our day-to-day aspects, such as transportation. To be precise and simple, what we say is it covers each and every area in modern age, and its scope is ever widening. It increases as we move forward in time. Its scope keeps on increasing. That's why programming has become, is always very important. Programming, we can say that people have used programming since 1950s, and it is still going on. At that time, there was this IBM autocoder. Then we got Fortran, Algol, COBOL, PL1, Pascal, C, Java, and now various internet languages at the servers, and so on and so forth. So we will firstly look into the basics of programming. Later on, as we move forward, we will look into as many as possible of those programming languages that we mentioned. Now, in every programming language, there are a few basic things that we need to understand. To master a programming language, few simple things one needs to understand. Once you understand these, then you will know that you have to just look upon how these things are done in any different programming language or in any new programming language. The three things are how to do an assignment, how to do a loop, and how to do input output operations. So these are the basic programming constructs. Now we look at one by one. The first one, assignment. Let's take an example. A is equal to b plus 1 plus c. So this is a mathematical equation, a simple equation which says a will be b plus 1 plus c. We'll take an example. If b is 2 and c is 3, we get 2 plus 1 plus 3, the 6. 6 is going to be put back into a. So right hand side is computed or evaluated, and the result is put back into left hand side variable. We'll take another example. B is 3 and C is 3. So 3 plus 1 plus 3 is 7. 7 goes into A. Now we will look at a more interesting example. Here we have A is equal to A plus 1. Now here we have seen A is equal to B plus 1 plus C. But here we say A equals A plus 1. Now what this means is, its meaning you should look at from a computing point of view. In mathematics, of course, this is, we will not write any equation like this, but in computing, we write an equation like this, and all programming languages involve such equations. Here, what it really means is, first compute the right hand side, and then put the result back into the left hand side. That's all it means. So what does it mean? You compute a plus 1, get the result and put it back into the variable of left hand side. Let's take an example. Let's say a equals 1. Then we need to compute the left hand side. So what do you get? A equals a plus 1. So one right hand side will be a plus 1, 1 plus 1. So a gets the value 2. So the meaning of this is a, add 1 to a and then put the result back. So 1 plus 1, 2. This is a basic increment operation on variable a. Now what we will do is we will take one more example, a similar example. We have a equals a plus 1. Now if you compute a equals 2, then if a equals 2, then the left hand side will become 3. A plus 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, so that's what it means. Now what does it really mean when we say a equals a plus 1 or a equals b plus 1 plus c? So a, b, c, these are all called variables in any programming language. These are all called variables. All right, so these are called variables. Now what do they mean? Variables are like placeholders. So when you say a, it stores the information that is contained in a in a storage. So that's what this means. A, you can imagine like a storage box. So these are placeholders to store values of variables such as a, b, c. Now if you look at into how this can be stored, there is only one way to store in a computer. You guess it, it will be in the memory called RAM, random access memory. So these are stored, these variables are stored in the memory. So when you say a equals a plus 1, how does it compute? When you say, for example, a is equal to b plus 2, so it goes to b, takes the value whatever is there, takes that, adds 2 to it and puts the result back into a. That means here, let's say b is 3, b is 3. So 3, b, it will go to b, get the value 3 plus 2, 5, and then puts 5 back into here. So that's what happens here. Now what we will do is we will continue with our our next construct. As we said earlier, we have assignment, loops, and input output. So we have seen an assignment. Now we will look into loops. Now here what we have, a loop. We will take an example, display numbers 1 to 10. We will always go with an example, always. It's easier to understand. Now what we need to do is we need a program that displays numbers 1 to 10. So we will write a very simple program that works, the first program. Now here we can see print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, print 5, so on and so forth up to print 10. So this program definitely works. So this works. As you can see, there are 10 times it prints 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It certainly works, but this is not the most efficient way of writing a program. Why? If you were to print 1000 numbers, then would you write print 1, print 2 up to 1000? No, it doesn't work that way. So you need a better way to do that. That's what is achieved using loops. So you just write one print statement and loop it 100 times or 1000 times. So that's what is the essential idea behind it. Now we will look at this example here. See, this is a variable, I is 1. Print I. So what does it print? This is an input output operation, we'll come to that. So I is 1, print I. So it prints 1. If I contains 3, it prints 3, like that. All right. So what we need to do is we need to be able to repeat this operation. So that is achieved using a loop in every programming language. So that's what is attempted here. Initialize I to 1 and we set up what is called a while loop. While I is less than or equal to 10, repeat all these steps. Print I and then increment I by 1. We have understood what I equals I plus 1 means. We have understood that. Now let's take an example. We will say first initially I is 1. Then while I is less than or equal to 10. Is that true? Yes, I is 1. So it is less than 10. So it goes inside. It prints 1. And then it increments I by 1. So I becomes 2. It will go back and check. Now what is I? I is 2. So 2 is less than 10. So it goes inside, prints 2. I becomes 3. So it will print each and every number like that. When I becomes 10, alright, so print 9, I becomes 10, so it has come inside. So I is less than or equal to 10, so it prints 10, I becomes 11, while I is less than or equal to 10, no, so it will exit out of the loop. So what we have achieved is, we have achieved printing of 10 numbers. That's how a loop is written. Now we will do a similar example of print sum of numbers 1 to n. So here n is a variable. We are not saying print numbers 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. We are saying print numbers 1 to n. So how do you do that? You need a way of telling the computer what is n before you begin the loop, because it needs to exactly be told how many times to print. Otherwise it cannot go on forever. Okay, so now we will use a construct called input n. So from the keyboard, a user is going to input n, then we initialize a variable called sum to 0. It's called initialization. As before, we initialize a variable I to 1, and this loop is very similar to what we have done earlier. Why I is less than or equal to n. Here this is interesting. Sum, the value of I, you add it to sum. So first time sum is 0, first time I becomes 1. So 1 is added to sum. Next time 2 is added to sum. Next time 3 is added to sum. 4, 5, 6, 7 is added to sum. 8 is added to sum. 9 is added to sum. 10 is added to sum. I becomes 11. So it comes out. So sum got added each number 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10. So we have achieved sum of numbers 1 to 10. And here at the end we say print sum. Okay, so this is how we have achieved a loop which will print now the sum of numbers 1 to 10. What I would suggest is you try and do this program either in Java or C or any language. We will look at C and Java later on in future classes. Now the third construct that we mentioned was on input output. We have covered assignment, loops, and we'll briefly look at input output. Now what is input output? When you in a computer, this is a computer, so there should be a way to communicate to the computer either from a human or a file or other means. Let's stick to human and file. So if you input information to this, that is called input operation. If computer wants to give you some information on a screen, okay, that's an output operation. Similarly, input from a file, reading from a file, and putting the result back into a file. So these are called input output operations. Here in our example, we have already seen two input output operations. You can see that we have used input statement, input here, input is taken from user, and print statement. So these are IO statements or input output operations. So we have used two such. So these are called input output operations. Now as we move forward, we will look into more aspects on basic programming concepts on procedures, structures, pointers, and arrays, so on and so forth. We will look at the basics of those. In the meantime, have a great day. Have a wonderful time. Thank you.